Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a exclusive media podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
I am here for an adventure.
Adventures. Also with us, Ryan Stokely.
I'm also here for adventures. We're doing One Piece, right, guys?
That would be way too long.
You said it was a short one.
We're
It might
we're
be
doing
short.
episode 737 of One Piece right now. We're gonna cover everything from the start until that episode, right?
Do you even know what 737 is since you
No
only watch manga?
idea. With all the
Isn't
filler,
that a
no
plane?
idea.
First off, I just want to say sorry for people who were expecting what was teased at the end of the last episode, which was going to be the beginning. Technical difficulties happened.
Recording? What recording? We don't have a recording.
Yeah, we don't, because somehow OBS borked up the audio on Brandon and Ryan's side, and about an hour 15 into it, I realized, oh shit, no audio is coming through on their sides. So, I think that may be the 6th or 7th lost episode we have.
Spooky.
Something like that.
Spooky lost episode.
And because of that, and I'll just go over it more briefly than I did in the Be the Beginning banter. The 2022 Kanji of the Year was announced at the middle of last December.
What's kanji of the year? What is
it-
kanji?
the Japanese form of writing.
Okay.
It's the more complicated letters because I know hiragana and katakana are basically like 3-4 lines. Kanji maybe like 12 lines. And I'm not too sure how long the voting takes of it, but it's announced about mid-December for like words or kanji that reflect the previous year. And how many total votes? Oh yes, out of 223,768 votes, in third place with close to 8,000 was raku, meaning easy or relaxed. It can also mean fun. And I put this in the Discord chat last week, guys, so you may want to just scroll up to that. And I'm going to put the link to the article in the comments.
Woo!
The description, sorry.
Try it again.
Yeah. With 10,616 yasu, meaning secure or cheap, because things are dropping currency-wise in Japan. And in first place with 10,804, Ikuza, meaning fight, battle, or war, most likely because of the war in Ukraine. So, not always happy for kanji of the year, but I'm guessing those are the most important. This article really doesn't specify what kanji of the year actually means, but I know it was voted on, and people were like, yes, this should be the kanji of the year.
Clearly. This one, and only this one.
I know that Sora News 24 usually covers this, and they just have a linked article to 2021, so I don't quite know how long they've been covering this. But hey, maybe at the beginning of next year we'll cover their article about the kanji of the year for 2023.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good.
And I did hear that Super Mario World is coming to California. I believe
Ooh.
it's this summer?
Wait, they're constructing a park?
Yep.
Yo, sweet.
It's supposedly going to be bigger than the Japanese one.
Really? Holy
And once
shit.
that is done, one in Florida, that will be
Ooh.
bigger than the California one.
Dude.
Huh.
I would have expected the one in Japan to be biggest because
Yeah.
Super Nintendo World, like,
Mm,
Nintendo is Japanese. Why
Yeah.
have like Florida be the biggest of them all?
because land is way more valuable in Japan because there's not a lot of space. You're on an island.
Maybe, I guess, but
Oh, whoops.
huh. I don't know. So guys, what's going on with you?
Not much. Nothing really new this week.
Nah,
Yeah?
I don't have much either.
Okay.
Nothing crazy really. Working on more model kits. Working on the Raven Raptor right now for Zoids.
Ooh.
It's actually
Because
going a lot easier than I thought. Then again, the other one that's that size, I've been trying to do a full paint job, and that's been slowed down because of weather.
because it's a Raven Raptor, is
Yep.
it like Raptor dinosaur or Raptor bird?
Dinosaur, but it's in Raven colors.
Oh, so it's a black dinosaur.
Black and purple.
Ah, okay. Since
Uh,
I
Black,
got,
purple, silver.
I,
Sorry, black, purple, gold, silver.
ooh, since I used to follow Zoids kind of, but I only think the original series.
Which one was that? That would have been Chaotic, because I think Chaotic was the first one. Chaotic Century.
I forget if Toonami just called it Zoids, since like that
It
was
was
the
probably called that, but it probably had like the subtitle baby letters underneath the Zoids title.
mm,
Actually, you know what? You might have watched. I think New Century Zero was the first one that premiered over here. I think Chaotic Century came after,
mm.
even though technically Chaotic Century was the first one released.
But then, even in Japan, when they maybe weren't planning a sequel series, did they even give it a subtitle?
I don't know if they didn't. They did so like later because I
Mm.
believe it's on like Blu-ray and DVD boxes.
Maybe like retroactively subtitled.
Maybe either way they would have had to because like the two series that are the main ones that people know are from like I'm trying to think. There's a massive like time jump between the two and potentially on completely different continents.
Mm.
While they take place in the same planet, they are at different time frames. Like what was it, Chaotic Century? There's a massive like war going on throughout most of that series, and then in New Century Zero, it's essentially just a big old tournament.
Like G Gundam.
More like the later seasons of G Gundam because it's an actual tournament and not just a kind of wandering free for all in the first season of that or the first
Ah,
section of that.
okay. So I guess since banter is shorter this time, let's head into today's anime. Okay, Ryan, we were going to cover this in the beginning of this recording season, but we're like, oh, it hasn't been released on DVD yet. And then we were looking around and we couldn't find it online, so we decided to push it back until now.
Probably should have done it longer, honestly, considering what we had to, what we ended up doing or
Uh,
seeing.
the subtitles were so awful on this.
You have no idea. Like we had Chinese names in the subs, and on
Random
top of
Damn.
that,
lowercase letters.
bad grammar. Sometimes you got to see like someone editing the subs where they like shoved in somebody's name that should have been there that wasn't.
Yeah, but uh, today's anime is Goodbye, Don Glees.
Why does that name sound familiar? Who's Don Glees? Who the hell's that?
I don't know. You tell us.
Don Glees. Wait, it's called Goodnight John Glees.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
Don Glees.
Don Glees. Goodbye, Don Glees. Why does it sound like a black and white anime, like the Honeymooners? But it's just anime style. That's what I'm going with. It's the Honeymooners, but anime. Am I close?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Do you want to take another swing?
Hold on. Question. I'm trying to remember now. Who's the guy that was in like all of the like the Fievel movies? Who played like the cat? It was Don something. I can't remember.
Dom
Good.
DeLuise.
Dom
Dom
DeLuise.
DeLuise,
Okay,
yes.
that's who I was trying to remember. Because that's when I first saw this title, my brain jumped to his name.
Yeah, I just think of Jackie Gleason.
And just doing like a small side step here, but I just remember he appeared with Burt Reynolds in like early Robot Chicken doing I think it was Cannonball Run was their famous racing movie, a parody of that, and at the end, Dom says like, no, Burt Reynolds says like, you get a $50 gift certificate to Best Buy. Dom DeLuise responds, Best Buy! Woof! And according to the commentary, they had no idea why Dom said that. It was not in the script, but they decided to keep it in.
What the fuck?
Shit.
I don't know. But do you have any other idea of what Goodbye Don Glees is about?
About a guy, he's like, beloved dude, and, he's terminally ill. Let's make it sad. He's terminally ill. What else? Yeah, he like owns a bakery or something, or like a pizza shop or something. And
Any something else? Anything there?
that's about it. And then
All right.
like his daughter has to take over or something, take over the shop. That's all I got really. And it's a guy.
Honestly, Orion, you have one aspect correct.
Okay.
Somehow, you called one aspect of this.
What aspect did he call? I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Somebody's terminally ill?
Ah, there you go. Maybe. I honestly don't know.
Maybe if we had better English subs, we could be able to tell?
Maybe. I'm not like I assume that's the case, but I don't know if that's how it fully ends. That's the thing.
Yeah, since it was kind of we'll get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in real Japan, we have this kid Roma who's working on a construction site, and he gets a text message from his friend that, hey, I'm back in town. So he goes to see his friend who's been out for, is it like a year or?
They're in their first year of high school, so I'm pretty sure it's if nothing else, it's at least partway through the year for like a vacation or something.
Mm.
It's the summer, so actually, yeah, they should be on their summer vacation
I know that.
or break.
Yeah, since Japanese kids start school, and I believe it's April.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and I know they go like April to March, so they don't really have breaks. I mean, they don't have like summer vacation, but they do have like extended weeks off here and there throughout
Yeah,
the
like
year.
I know there's Golden Week, for example. I forget exactly when that takes place, but I know Golden Week is a thing. But yeah, either way, it seems like it's during a break.
Midsummer, I want to say. And they're going like, hey, the fireworks festival is coming up in the next city over.
let's also point out that one of these kids works at a farm, shoveling shit,
I thought it was more of a
essentially.
construction site.
No, it's a farm.
Oh, it is a farm then.
It's a farm. Yeah, like you see in the background, the silos and stuff. He's at a farm.
Mm. Okay.
That's why the thing says he's covered in poop.
Ah.
He's shoveling manure.
Okay. Okay, then my notes were wrong.
And,
Huzzah.
assuming of course our subtitles are right, and you and I watched the same one, so
Yes,
there's no
yes.
discrepancy here. Basing it on these shitty subtitles alone.
Because again, complaining about the subtitles, I'm like, oh man, Brandon, my subtitles sucked. Hopefully yours was better. And
There's nowhere else to find this thing right now without like renting it yourself.
yeah, and I don't even know where this was available. Like I looked on Verb and I didn't see
Apple
it there.
TV, but that's about all I know for sure. There was a couple of other places, but I didn't even catch them.
Mm.
All I can tell you is for sure Apple TV had it right now. Whether or not they've decided to release it anywhere else, who knows?
Yeah. And they're planning on going to see the fireworks since they always seem to miss it. And
Okay.
these two boys have the club, Glees.
It's not even a club, I don't think. I think it was a name they came up for themselves.
Oh.
Because it's only the two of them. It's kind of their moniker.
Yeah. But they do have a clubhouse.
They did create a little clubhouse out in the woods, yes.
Yeah.
Which kind of reminds you a little bit of like a mini, I want to say circus tent almost.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way it's all patchwork together with like fabric and such.
Yeah. So, Toto's back in town, and since this movie...
Yeah, he was out in Africa, didn't you know?
It would have been funnier if you would have pronounced it Africa.
What? Wait. Does he know where the Wizard of Oz is? Pretty sure he was over there too. He's been in Oz, I think.
And since this movie slides in stuff like from the kid's past a little bit, like the timeline is just
you get some
flashbacks
flashbacks here and there.
Because I think doesn't he mention like about Roma's crush in a flashback about, hey, you should really give her a call.
I think that comes in later, but I think he does like poke at him at first in this, right? Like he kind of teases him about it before that happens.
Okay. Because his crush moved to Ireland
to study abroad.
His girlfriend?
More crush since, from what I understand, he did admit his feelings for her.
He never confessed
his
anything.
Crush, he went to study abroad?
No, his crush studied abroad.
Oh, okay.
He's still in Japan, man.
Yeah, and they brought in a new member to replace Toto, Drop.
I don't so much replace him. Yeah, it just kind of wandered in from the sound of it. I don't remember it ever actually like being that way.
That's how I inferred it, but
there was only two of them. I don't think it's really a replacement when the kid just kind of shows up and he's in a similar situation.
Yeah. So Drop is saying like, hey, I like adventures. Let's have adventures together.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 11, 12-ish?
He's 15. He's the same age as them. Well, I think Toto's 16. I think he turned 16, but Roma's still 15.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm just like going by the notes I have here that he looks younger.
Oh yeah, because they make Toto makes fun of him for being like looking younger, and thinking he's like in grade school yet, like elementary school. But no, he is the same age, or at least that's what the subtitles seem to say.
we're gonna be complaining a lot about the subtitles here.
Yeah. What did they actually call Roma? What was his fucking subtitle name?
Um,
Uh, yep.
Zhang Lin,
Yeah, Zhang Len or something like that.
Zhang Long or something, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, how
To-
are you getting that from Roma?
I mean, Drop was pretty close. It was Dollop.
Yeah,
Toto was pretty close. It was Dodo,
yeah,
like the extinct bird.
and like,
Where the fuck they got Lang Zenlong from? I have no idea.
and Donglees with like the Acorn Boys.
Brothers is what they used.
Yeah, Acorn Brothers, because like Don Gori is Acorn, and Don Glees, pronouncing it with a Japanese inflection. That sounds pretty close.
But yeah, Toto's been out in Tokyo studying to be a doctor,
Okay.
And
whereas Roma doesn't seem to know what he wants to be.
although he does kind of like photography.
He held on to the camera. We don't know prior to this how much he'd actually used it, because he seems to pull it out of an old box yet.
Hmm.
Like we get a little dialogue before of like they had a class thing where they were taking pictures and everyone had a smartphone at that point. He did not. So he had ended up borrowing his dad's old camera without asking and ended up getting in trouble for it. But his dad basically said, look, if you're gonna something like if you're interested in this, you may as well use it. Nobody else is at this point, really. So I don't know how long it's been sitting in a box, especially considering like the last time we know of, at least, that he used it, it kind of left him in a funk, I guess, since it was related to his crush leaving. So it might have been something he had put to aside for a while to not think about it too much.
And because they always seem to miss the fireworks display, they have an idea of let's buy a drone. A drone can record the fireworks display.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've done it for a while, where I guess they would like buy their own fireworks because they couldn't see the ones out in the other town.
Hmm.
They could really only see like the flashes of light in the distance, like flashing over the mountain.
So yeah,
So
this
Roma spends a lot of money buying shitty fireworks that were apparently way too old.
yeah, and a lot of money on a drone, which Drop kind of forces him into.
Kind of like, come on, man, we can do it, yeah.
And what about the cross dressing scene?
Oh yeah, so there's a bunch of school bullies who make fun of Roma for shoveling poop. So he like was telling them about it, Drop and Toto, and he's basically like they're pieces of shit. You know, they're doing all this crap. You know, the Drop's like, why not prove them wrong? So somehow Drop convinces Toto, and I'm shocked he was even willing to do this. I would have loved to have seen the argument of getting him into this situation where both he and Toto dress up as women, and Roma looks like some suave, almost like, I want to say, like, Yakuza guy?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
As they walk by these guys all in yukata, while Toto and
Drop.
Drop are dressed up as like women, and they go by, you get this entire scene of just like everyone losing, all those guys losing their shit of like, where did these hot babes come from? Oh my god. Like, there's no words, but the look on their face is enough to give you that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And after walking past to the point that they can't be seen any longer, they start running like madmen. Like, holy shit, what the fuck?
I can't believe that worked. My mom is going to kill me for using your lipstick.
I think one of the girls called them out on it, actually.
Mm.
Like, was that Katakawa or whatever? I think that was, I forget if that was Toto or not. I forget who's Katakawa.
Roma is Kamigawa.
Okay, it was Kamigawa. Okay, so yeah. It wasn't, they didn't notice then that it was Toto and Drop.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
But
why is Roma hanging out with these women.
Yeah. Was that Kanagawa? Also,
That-
it was his sister's makeup, not his mom's.
Oh, okay. So they get their fireworks to, not work. They're half misfiring. Like, I think one starts on fire.
Think?
So they're like,
No. Something else happens. I don't think it's the firework, or the firework lights something else up and he tries to stomp it out. I forget what it is, though. I think it might have been a flyer that got caught by the lighter.
and they hear the fireworks display starting to go off, so they fly the drone up, and they kind of lose control of the drone.
Because, of course, why would we practice this before we do it?
Yeah. And so they're running after the drone, seeing where it landed, but they
I think
lost.
Roma's the one doing that while, like, Drop and Toto are trying to light the fireworks and failing.
Yeah.
Because you just see Roma running around in the background, just like, wait, come back. Oh, no, where's it going?
And then, a few hours later, a forest fire starts.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, what do you think happened?
How it started?
Yes.
I want to say probably some kids camping weren't really safe about how they're keeping their fire. You know, they got too close to their tents and it caught on fire.
Well, close by to the fire, they found fireworks.
Oh, well, that makes sense too.
Here's what I'm understanding from what I gathered from this, right? It's not the same fireworks that they were lighting, it's different fireworks. Because when they first see the fire and smell the smoke, it's starting on the other side of the mountain.
So, Drop suggests, hey, we should track down the drone so we can prove our innocence. Let's have an adventure.
Here's what I'm understanding. Again, I think the pictures they had seen were their fireworks. However, like I said, the fire started on the other side of the mountain. But it's the bullies that are like starting up a big text message group that are saying, it was them, they did it, here's the evidence. You know, this and that.
Yeah.
So, to prove their innocence to their classmates or what have you, track down the drone. That probably has the video of things that went on, because they couldn't, I guess they couldn't get the app that would like have the phone record it, but it was recorded on the SD card that was in the drone.
Okay.
Which was lost. So they have to go find the drone.
So guys, come on, let's have an adventure. If we die tomorrow, we won't be able to have one.
It's more like, I think the exact quote, at least that I saw anyway, was, if the world ends tomorrow, I don't want to die without any regrets. Or something like that. I don't want to die with any regrets.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't take good notes on this one.
Like, there were points in this where the subs were, like, decent. I'm sure if someone was actually going through this better, that would actually have a good, you know, sub, and it would be better worded. But that's more or less the takeaway that I got from it.
So they all decide to sneak out and track down this drone.
Mm-hmm. Turns out, according to the GPS, it's like way the fuck far away. And they don't have cars.
Because Toto left his in Tokyo.
And well, even if they did, right? They couldn't get there because the only road that would lead to where the thing is shut down because of the fire investigation.
Yep.
They couldn't have gotten there anyway if they didn't have the car. Because they first start off following like the road on their bikes, or in Drop's case, his scooter. And they just hit a roadblock. And they're like, well, I guess we gotta go up these stairs and make it through the forest to get there. Where they find a bear.
Yeah.
And a bunch of cops. Because they keep running into cops who are investigating how the fire started.
So they need to, like, sneak.
Let's also point out how, like, while there was a bear there, right, Drop has a quote-unquote bear-repelling bell that Toto tears off his backpack, and he's like, you're gonna give us away to the cops, you idiots, as they're running away. And, of course, then they run into the bear, And instead of like having bear spray, which I think is what Roma thought he had,
Yeah.
he's spraying hairspray everywhere as they're running away. And it ends up getting in all three of their eyes. Just burning.
Oh my god.
Oh, and what about? I'm not too sure like how soon after this it is, but what about the waterfall scene?
Hold on, I'm just skipping through quick to see where this is because I think yeah, they do a lot of walking, right? And they're following Drop because Drop's just basically more or less saying like, we can't just sit still, otherwise we're gonna get nowhere. We just keep moving forward. And I think it's not until they hit like that waterfall or whatever, or like I don't even know if you want to call it a waterfall. It's such a baby thing,
But
like a baby little waterfall.
but the scene building up to that made it seem a lot more intense.
Oh yeah, because Roma says something about like the smell of the soil changed, and apparently because he's a farm boy, he can notice these things, and he leads them to the little waterfall.
And how does Toto get? Does he fall in?
That's later after
Oh.
they sit down, realize they don't have a lot of food because one, somebody decided to pack like study material. Someone lied and said he was going to his friend's house, so he couldn't bring a lot without being suspicious. And I don't know where Drop. Like, here's the thing: we don't know where the fuck Drop has been living like this entire time. We have no idea.
Yeah, Drop is mysterious.
Mm-hmm. Also, if I remember right, Toto forgot to bring rice balls for one, and two, nobody brought a can opener. So any of the canned stuff they brought, they can't open.
And Drop is talking about that everybody should have a treasure in their life. Hey Roma, what do you treasure? And then we get a flashback of him talking to his crush and how he was like filming wildflowers and she was like,
Photography, those pictures.
hey, can I take one too? And she managed to take one with a ladybug flying across the lens, so you have this red streak. And because she took it, that he treasures that picture.
Mm-hmm. But he won't say it. Also, he never says outright that that's what he treasures. Like he says he doesn't know. Neither does Toto, it seems, either. I think Drop says something along the lines of like
A golden waterfall?
No. What's something that no matter what you want to get, right? Doesn't matter how hard it is, you want to have it. And they don't have an answer for that. But yeah, he does talk about the golden waterfall, right?
In
here.
Iceland.
Yes. Which they didn't realize he's been there.
Yeah, I once found this working telephone booth right by a golden waterfall. It was amazing.
In like a giant cave or what have you. He said something about like his grandfather telling him to come back and tell him his treasure or something from there, right?
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder, right? What was Drop doing there in the first place? Was he originally searching for that, or was it something else? Because we see him with like a map at one point, or what looks like a folded up map with a scooter out in Iceland. Yeah, he's got his map, and he's got that picture of like the rainbow with the waterfall and the old phone booth there, right? That I don't know if he sketched it or someone else did.
Oh, and this movie is sponsored by Coca-Cola.
What? I couldn't have guessed that at all with all the Coke everywhere and the Coke labels.
Which happens to be a plot point near the end.
I mean, technically, it could have been anything. It didn't have to be Coke. It's just because it was like, the sponsor that they used it.
They also have an Instagram parody, like Insu2gram.
It's literally what the Romanized way you would have to say Instagram with Japanese, like you would say it in Japanese, right? Like if you say Instagram in like a bad Japanese accent, it's basically the phonetic spelling of that. Instagram.
Because I don't use Instagram, although I should maybe start up an Instagram for our channel to draw on more people, but I do recognize the logo, and I had to go back. I'm like, wait, is that full on Instagram? Oh, no, it's not.
No, not quite.
So, Ryan, what do you think Donglees actually means?
I don't know.
Oh, also, just running back for a second, while Orion here thinks that that picture that his crush took, I can tell you immediately how she probably did it, which was the same way you get like those streaks when you take pictures of stars. You leave that exposure open for a while. You don't like instantly just snap one. You hold it for a bit. So if there's
Oh.
anything moving, it'll streak.
Oh,
So that's how she got the ladybug to streak that way.
cool. I'm not that much into photography, but I do like things like that.
I've taken one or two photography classes, so I know some stuff. But I definitely looked into it at one point when I saw like those pictures of the like the night sky where you see the stars streaking through.
Hmm.
Because those are always interesting to look at. And I learned it from there. And then I guess I relearned it again after those photography classes. So yeah, any idea about Don Glees there, Orion?
It has to be like some kind of word, like a mispronunciation of something.
You're
You're
close.
pretty damn
Friends do-
close.
that the
Yeah.
friends do that, like it's an inside joke or something.
You're right that it is wordplay, but it's intentional wordplay and not like mistranslation. It,
Well,
co-
yeah, okay.
it comes from the English words don't glee because Toto and Roma never smiled or played with other kids.
Huh.
Yeah, they were always kind of looked down on. So as a result, they came together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting too, because I don't know if when Toto came up with the name, he realized exactly what he had done. Because they were like young elementary kids when they did this, or when he came up with it.
Hmm.
I don't know if
Okay.
he realized immediately when he made it what that meant.
And since Drop is kind of a traveler, he knows what glee means.
Boy can speak his English.
Also sing English.
Yeah, we have a really good scene where they start singing like "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" later.
And it turns into like rock music.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, with its own lyrics too, like new invented lyrics to add into it. So there's a point as they've like had their lunch and stuff, it's getting dark, where Toto starts looking around and falls off the side of a cliff into rushing water.
Damn.
And he's like, he's barely holding on to like a fallen log, it looks like, and he screams about it being like a waterfall. So Drop and Roma are trying to like reach out to him with like a big stick. Roma's holding onto his backpack off from one strap. The other strap is being held by Drop to try and help,
Toto.
give more distance so they can reach Toto. Toto does manage to grab the stick. However, the
Give them the stick.
water is just too strong, like the
Mhm.
the flow, and it pulls them all in.
Damn.
And off the side of a comedically small waterfall.
And down like a little couple of waterfalls actually, because they end up back where they started having their lunch. So they've been
Oh,
going in
wow.
circles this entire time because
When
they have
they
no GPS to like check. There's no signal.
when they fell off the first waterfall, I just did an emotional 180 and started just cracking up. I'm like, this was less severe than you made it out to be.
Like, I'm sitting here like, how the fuck strong is that current if it's that short of a fall? Like, I was trying to pattern in my head, like, how does that work?
Suspension of disbelief, even though this is mostly realistic?
Well, especially because it's deep enough that Toto can't touch the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, at least in the section where he's at, anyway.
So they finally tracked down where it is because they like, oh, it's at Highway 71?
You're kind of, well, yeah, they figured that out, but you're kind of missing, like, the entire scene where we have that argument with Toto and Drop.
Ah.
Because after this, because they've been following Drop, and this entire time they've been going in circles, Toto kind of loses it.
Oh, yeah, this scene.
Yeah. And it kind of leads to, like, Roma trying to, like, keep them from trying to kill each other, essentially. And I think Toto says something about, like, the fact that they're still acting like children is fucking pathetic. Like, they're doing things like the fireworks stuff. They're still doing things, like, as little kids. It hurts Roma. So Roma kind of, like, wanders off after that. And it kind of leads to, like, a sit down with Drop and Toto talking to one another. Toto revealing, like, you know, I've always walked the safe road. I've always walked the road my father left for me to become a doctor.
I don't
But
know
he
if
doesn't.
I want to be a doctor, though.
Yeah, and like at this point, he's kind of questioning: is this actually what I want? Like, I've always been good at studying, but out in Tokyo, I just can't seem to keep up with everyone. You know, he feels like the thing he's supposed to do, he's failing at and being left behind. He's also frustrated because all of his texts, like his study work, got soaked through. Since he has a test literally the next day that he's supposed to take because he's going to cram school because he's so far behind. And while they're talking, Drop accidentally, I guess, turns on the walkie-talkie that he and Roma have been talking back and forth with prior to the meetup, I think, prior to the start of the show or the movie. So Roma's overhearing the entire conversation between the two.
But does Drop, being Drop, do it intentionally?
It seems like it's not. Hold on, let me just quick get to the scene because I think he brushes it with his. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He leans back on his bag and it turns on.
Okay, so
It's not intentional.
because from what we found out about Drop, like at the end, I'm just like, wait a minute, did he do that somehow intentionally?
If he did, it was so subtle I can't tell that it was intentional.
Okay. So everybody is making amends with each other now.
Well, Roma runs back down because he can see the stars. So they're like, wait, if we can see the stars, we can figure out what direction north is, which is the way where the thing's at.
Just look for Polaris.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said Polaris.
Yeah, Polaris. Yep, North Star.
Mm-hmm. So go to Highway 71, and that's where the drone was found.
Oh yeah, they also when they're looking up for Polaris, they're seeing shooting stars in the sky.
Oh, cool.
They're having what is it? The Pleiades meteor shower? I think it was. Yeah. So they end up watching that too during the night.
So they're just chilling, camping right now.
Essentially. Well, they wake up. Apparently during the night, Roma also had a dream about that waterfall, that golden waterfall that Drop had talked about. And he sees, as he's in there with like volcanic lava underneath him, he looks up like from where he's at to the mouth of the volcano up above him, and he kind of sees Drop in his dream staring up at the sky before he wakes up from it.
It's like a premonition, like
Potentially. But they do get signal. We have a whole thing about like a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good scene. As
Very
they
good.
like desperately try to scrape open the cans that they can't get open. By like rubbing them all over rocks to like make it so they can just pop it open, thin out the metal that way. Why they didn't try to find sharp rocks and just perforate it, I don't know.
They're 15. They don't know how sharp rocks work.
I don't look, man. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I think I forgot to mention. So that
One more
scooter,
thing.
that Drop has, he says something about it being like it has to witness my final adventure. And after them waking up, Roma kind of puts it together. I think Toto might have already a little bit based on what Drop had said before.
Mhm.
Toto kind of puts together like Drops doesn't have a long life left. For whatever reason, he does not have a long life left. He mentions
Cancer?
before about possibly, if nothing else, he hasn't had chemo considering he has like a full head of long blonde hair.
But he said it's to cover my bald spot.
Yeah, one bald spot, which I don't think would be chemo. I think he would be full bald by that point. And we don't know how big that bald spot is because we never see it.
Yeah.
Either way, they put it together and they're like, we should turn around. We should go back. It's like, look, do you think he would actually want to do that? He's dead set on doing this. You heard him. So they end up going forward still, even knowing what's up with Drop.
So they find the drone. Although there's nothing to prove their innocence, they filmed the fireworks display perfectly.
Well, let's point this out. They get to where it should be because now they've managed to get signal and are able to like pull up the GPS and get there correctly, only to find like where it's supposed to be is a giant flooded out area, so they can't even get it now. It's like a lake basically. Like the road they were following leads immediately into like what is essentially a lake now.
Damn.
So as they're sitting there, Drop kind of breaks down like, look, I shouldn't have forced you to do this. This is all my fault. I should have just been a stranger to you. There's no reason I should have done this. Everything is literally my fault. And Roma takes offense to that because he's like, no, this is not your fault. We wouldn't have had this adventure together. We would not have had this fun time. You're the only one who was able to get Toto out of his shell. You're the only one that was able to tell me, take me on this adventure to see all these amazing sights that I would never see in my podunk little town. And that kind of makes him feel better, right up until as they're getting ready to head back, gets like a glare on his face and he looks down and he starts heading down toward this thing, which I think looks like an overgrown road that branched off because there's like a car and a sign that are covered in moss from the look of it. And the mirror was what was reflecting light into Drop's eyes. And next to that, they find the drone.
Damn.
Which, as Brandon said, does not have any film of their innocence, but, in fact, did record the fireworks display as it literally flew through it.
I just think they managed to animate fireworks really, really well.
I was surprised at how well that looked. It looked really good.
Yeah, like, even if that was a CG scene, it looked amazing.
Mm-hmm. But they head back. They don't have any troubles on their drive back. Oh, I should also point out, they find out what actually started the fire, which was like someone was burning garbage, and it ended up getting out of control. That's kind of where the fire originally started.
So they didn't need to prove their innocence at all.
Nope.
This was a complete Seinfeld scenario.
They jumped the gun and ended up getting an adventure out of a pointless reason. Also, I believe they also say something like bears don't show up in those woods. There are no bears there. So how the fuck did we run into a bear that sent us off in this wild direction in the first place?
A drop bear.
Motherfucker. Do you have any idea what you've just accidentally referenced?
I know.
Do you know? What do you know? What did you reference?
Don't go to Australia, dude.
That is not what you're referencing.
Drop bear? The drop bears in Australia that drop from trees, dude?
That is not what I'm thinking of that you're referencing without realizing it.
Loon bears?
No.
Talking about fat gay dudes? I don't know what you're talking about.
And I know you don't because you haven't been listening to the thing. So Orion, let me point this out. So remember when we were talking before about D&D podcasts a while ago, right? And you were watching like Drunks and Dragons or whatever, or listening to it.
Yeah.
So they started a new season. One of them, I think it's Bachman, plays a character that is essentially like fantasy Batman, but he keeps changing what a superhero is and making up new costumes. One of them is literally Drop Bear.
Oh, really?
At one point, prior to being called Drop Bear, he called himself Koala T.
Huh?
So it was a koala, but Mr. T.
Oh my god.
So that is what I got the reference of when you said Drop
Oh,
Bear.
okay.
I immediately, my brain went to that, and I'm like, oh my god, that motherfucker. The best part is in the last couple of episodes, he's picked up a NPC ward, so he's got a new Robin essentially, or I guess Batgirl in this case. Anyway, back to the main thing.
So they get home, and a few days later, Drop dies.
Maybe.
Uh,
I don't know how long it's been because Roma's hair has grown out and he's like kind of tied it back. All we know is something happened to Drop. Toto tries to get his dad to tell him, who I'm guessing is also a doctor, but we don't know. And Toto basically says, if my dad's not telling me, something must have happened to him.
And Roma destroys their clubhouse.
Well, here's the thing, right? He what does he do? He discovers Drop left things behind. So he's like, when the fuck did he get here?
Yeah.
To which I'm like, wait, was he not sick? Like, not at least at that point in his sickness? Like, he leaves a thank you with 2 Cokes for them.
And as they're drinking the Coke, they realize, wait a minute.
Well, let's point this out. So after Roma destroys the place, they start a bonfire with what's left over of the clubhouse. They kept some of the important stuff, but whatever's left of the structure, they just decide to burn out in the middle of the field. And as they're drinking the Cokes, as they watch it burn up, they discover that Drop has drawn in brown marker or something on the Coke, so you wouldn't see it until you drink it all.
Okay.
What ends up being 2 pieces of a map.
Oh shit.
In Iceland.
Yep, which
Whoa.
they figure out is the location of those golden falls he was talking about. So they start planning out how to get there.
And
Doesn't exactly say how long it takes.
Yeah, because they do trim off their hair, and why I'm guessing Drop had cancer, it looked like they were donating their hair.
That's what I was thinking too. I think they were donating their hair because he mentioned something about like donating some of his hair for wigs at one point.
Yeah.
So they start planning things out of how to get there.
Roma's crush is now in New York.
Yep, she has moved on to New York to study. And based on what we see, because we do get a small scene of her there at one point, I think she's studying photography as well.
And apparently she is quite popular on Instagram.
She's also got a camera similar, if not exactly the same, as Roma's. Because she did mention she would get one during the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Nikon, by the way, which might also be a brand sponsor.
Oh, and something that we forgot to mention in the beginning, Toto convinces Roma, hey, I'm going to call your crush. Like I have a number.
Right after she moved on to study in Ireland, I think, right?
Yeah. And it's like, hey, don't worry about long distance fees. I have a cell phone. They'll be charged.
I'll be rich. Don't worry, I'll be rich in the future. It's fine. I'll be a doctor, remember?
And although the connection goes through, there's nobody there.
I don't think they even realize it goes through. Because, like, before he knocks the phone out of his hand, because he, like, freaks out a little bit, you see about 6 seconds of the line being picked up, but no one had said anything. Now, how long it was still active during, like, them wrestling with each other at that point, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, they go off to Iceland and they keep looking around for it. They get to meet like a bunch of people there. They
montage.
Montage of camping out. But eventually, after I'm going to guess like a week or so of trying to search for this thing, they end up finding it on like the end of their search when they're about to turn back, where you see the big waterfall, a double rainbow all the way across the waterfall, not the sky, but the waterfall. You see like the big open top of the cave with the light shining in, seagulls flying around it. It looks fucking beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It is a great scene. It makes me want to go to Iceland. I already wanted to go to Iceland. This makes me want to go more. Like, there's so much beautiful shit there. Also, if you like onsen in Japan, they got onsen there. They got their natural hot springs. But as they're sitting there laughing, realizing they finally found it, they start hearing the ringing. Someone's calling that telephone box. And they start running desperately to get to it. And once they finally get inside, whoever was calling had hung up. However, they also noticed something. On the
What's
door, there's a note written on a Coke label that is wedged in between like the wooden frame and the glass, just so that it would hold there, written by Drop. And on top of that, as Roma's hanging up, he notices what the number is to this thing, to this
Phone box.
phone box. It's
Okay.
the number that they dialed a year ago when trying to call his crush, Roma's crush.
They've
Oh.
got the country code wrong.
Because Toto's notes are sloppy. He can't read his own handwriting well.
Oh my god.
They called this phone, and they called Drop, who was here at that time, which might very well have led Drop to them.
For one last adventure.
Now, the quote here that is written on the note
Is
of
it
the Coke label,
translated okay?
assuming it's translated okay, is my treasure has been witnessed by the last brave appearance of my 15-year-old two good friends. It's not translated well, but the idea kind of gets across.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So at some point, Drop left Japan with those notes, with that map in the clubhouse, came back to Iceland and left this note. And then maybe went back to Japan? I don't know.
And then maybe died?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know.
I mean,
It seems to be implied that he died,
yeah.
but like for him to go in this circuitous route doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's just because of an adventure. I don't know. Just to have him go.
Have one last big thing before he passes is the implied situation.
Yeah.
Hmm. But despite the bad subs, I enjoy this.
It's very good. I would rewatch this with better subs, like no question.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
I would totally do that. It's a beautiful movie. Like even with the bad subs, you definitely get what's trying to be said here.
Mhm.
You definitely get the
Mhm.
feeling of what the movie's going for. I'll be honest, bad subs and all, I felt like pricks of tears.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
at this ending,
A little bit, me too.
the art is beautiful. There's nothing that doesn't mesh. It looks great. And the idea of like exploring beyond what you know being the theme and not having regrets at the end, always a good message.
Nothing that
The
I
only question that's really left is one, what the fuck actually happened to Drop? Assuming it's not just he died somewhere somehow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And two, who the fuck was calling them
Yeah.
at this point when they found the waterfall?
And if they would have caught it in time,
Yeah, who would be on the other end?
and would that have led them on an adventure?
Because the way I had originally taken this before we had gotten this reveal had been like, is this a phone that makes you like, can you call back the dead or something? Because I thought his grandfather was on the other line talking to Drop.
Huh.
That's what I took it as originally. But now it makes me question who the hell was actually calling.
The call's coming from inside the house.
The call's coming from inside the waterfall.
And just looking at the director of this, nothing that I've recognize, but one thing that you may know, Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
Persona 4 Golden,
Yep.
he was the opening animation director.
Ooh, nice.
But, wait, what? Supernatural, the animation? What?
Didn't know
This,
that existed.
I am going to have to tell Julie about that. Oh my
So
god.
the movie ends basically with sweeping shots of Roma using the drone to capture the sky shots of Iceland. And at one point, it catches. We see a flash of like out in New York of his crush, and a pull-out shot to be a sky shot from the top down.
Yeah, so, bad subs and all, I would highly recommend this.
Just find one with good subs. That's all. Maybe give it some more time so that somebody can get to it,
Yeah, I thought that, like, 3
or
months
rent it
would have
slash
been good.
buy it officially.
Yeah. Which I do for most of my stuff. Like
Couldn't find it for this one.
like Vampire Dies in No Time Season 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is coming out later in January. I will definitely use Verve on that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, I guess that wraps up. Anything else? Ryan, does this sound like a movie you would want to see when better subs come out?
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good movie.
A nice hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come back with just the two Brandons next time when we will recover a series we did and see the further adventures of a young psychic boy.
See if he destroys the world.
Or saves it.
I don't know, man. I don't remember if there's really much left of like. Oh no, wait, no, there was that weird big government organization wasn't there. That was still
Yeah.
going on. Right.
Hmm.
That's right. I remember.
Yep. So until then, we'll catch everybody later.
Bye.
Goodbye.